Girl was washing her body and the man in the distance saw her undressing while slowly approaching. The girl senses his movement and immediately reaches out and touches the stone on the ground. The man pressed the whip-shaped creature under his body with all his strength. This thing looks slim but can easily lift a grown man. Luckily, the girl returned with a knife and cut it off at the root, solving the crisis. The men dragged the dangerous creature away and turned it into a powerful weapon. On this dangerous planet they must be strong enough to get out of here alive. But they weren't survivors in distress. They were exiled criminals. 1,000 years ago, the first refugees from Earth arrived on this planet, where the land is made of pure titanium. Although no plants could survive, there was plenty of oxygen and sunlight, so it wasn't long before the first cities were built. Artificial intelligence was used to manage everything, making society run much more efficiently. Every once in a while, the ship would transport a group of criminals to be held here. Most of them would serve their time in prison. But a few of the worst offenders would be banished to the swamps outside the city. The monsters there are so tough, it's easier to die than to be shot. As a humanitarian gesture, criminals were given some basic survival supplies before being driven into the swamp. So everyone grabbed the food and Anna stood by, not knowing what to do. She's an ordinary person who was sentenced to exile because she didn't want to marry her AI-assigned husband. At this point, a tall, mean-looking bald man threatened everyone that they had to do what he said or no one would leave alive. Anna was given a small amount of food at his disposal. Owen, however, didn't want any of it, and instead focused on the emptied crates. When he heard that he wanted to give up all the food, the bald man was more than happy to do so and threw the crates to him without hesitation. An hour later, the border harbor sentinel sent out a ray gun and threatened all criminals to leave immediately. Owen dragged the case and started to drive. Looking at the faraway bald and other people, Anna hesitated but decided to follow Owen. The two dragged the huge box hard to move forward. Anna's lightweight was in charge of exploring the way ahead so that even if he got stuck in the swamp, Owen could quickly pull him up. At that moment a woman suddenly ran over and claimed that there was a cave in the distance where they could rest. With Owen staring at her cautiously, the woman took off her coat to show off her body. But the more she did, the more she showed that she was up to no good. Sure enough, the next moment, the mysterious man in the distance finally opened fire. The woman was obviously a decoy. Luckily, the magnetic field in the swamp was so turbulent that the trajectory of the ray gun was deflected, making it difficult to hit them. After crawling out of the other side's range, the two of them continued their journey. Shortly after, Lord Bald came up from behind and demanded that Owen hand over the case, and the men behind him formed a perimeter. In this situation, Owen had to use force to subdue them, so he swung his whip and broke several people's weapons. This masterpiece really scared the bald brother. The two packed up and continued to drive overnight. But not far away, Owen seems to find something, hurriedly told Anna to lie down on the ground, do not move. At the same time, the bald and other people began to suffer.